All right, let's dive into OpenClaw. It's this viral open source AI that's got the developer world completely buzzing. We've all gotten used to AIs that can talk, right? But what if your AI could actually do things for you? Well, that's what we're going to find out.
Here's the plan. We're going to start with the big promise of AI agents, then we'll get right into what OpenClaw is. We'll take a look at its pretty chaotic journey, uncover its superpowers, face the risks and the costs, and then we'll look at what this all means for the future of personal AI.
Okay, so let's just start with the main idea here. We've all gotten pretty comfortable with AI that can answer our questions, but the real next step, the next frontier, is giving AI the power to actually act on those answers.
I mean, really think about that for a second. We have these amazing chatbots, but they're kind of stuck behind the screen. The dream has always been an assistant that can, execute tasks out in the digital world, an agent that acts for you, even when you're not around.
And listen, this isn't just some sci-fi fantasy. One user actually set up an AI assistant, they called it Ben, that hooks directly into business tools like Salesforce and QuickBooks. It just goes ahead and analyzes financial data, checks the sales pipeline, and then it formats and sends a complete morning briefing. This is AI graduating from being a consultant to basically being an employee.
So, that brings us to the tool that's really at the center of this whole movement. What in the world is OpenClaw? And what makes it so different from everything else out there?
At its heart, OpenClaw is a framework that you run on your own machine, your own computer, or your own server. Now that is a huge deal. Self-hosted means your data, your secrets, your information, it all stays with you. It then connects to your favorite chat apps, basically turning them into a remote control for your own personal AI agent.
The absolute best way to think about it is like ChatGPT with hands. It's got all the powerful reasoning of a big language model, but it's also connected to tools that let it do stuff. Browse the web, manage your files, run commands. It's not just thinking, it's doing. But to really get OpenClaw, you have to understand its incredibly messy, chaotic history. If you've ever heard of ClawdBot or MoatBot, yeah, we're talking about the exact same project. Its journey has been, well, a really wild ride.
So, in just a few months, this project, which started out as ClawdBot, just exploded. It got over 147,000 stars on GitHub, but turns out its original name was just a little too close to Claude, the AI model from Anthropic. So, after a trademark claim, they rebranded to MoatBot, only to have to rebrand again 3 days later to OpenClaw after this insane week of crypto scams and account hijackings. Seriously, it was a trial by fire.
And as if that wasn't confusing enough, if you go and Google OpenClaw, you might find this, a beloved pirate-themed video game from back in 1997 starring a cat named Captain Claw. And in this bizarre coincidence, that game also has its own open-source project. So, be specific when you're searching.
All right, history lesson is officially over. Let's get into the really exciting part, what this AI can actually do for you. Let's take a look at its superpowers. When you put it side by side with the big names, the differences are just stark. OpenClaw is self-hosted, which means you get total privacy. It can message you proactively, like with a morning brief or a flight reminder. It's open source, it connects to more than a dozen platforms, and it's model agnostic. And that last one, that is a total game changer. It means you can swap out its AI brain whenever you want. You're not locked into one company's ecosystem. You can pick the best model for the job, or one that's cheaper, or even run a model locally for complete privacy. It basically future-proofs your assistant.
But maybe its biggest advantage is that it just meets you where you are. There's no new app you have to download. You just talk to it through the chat apps that you and your team are already using every single day. They basically become the command center for your personal AI.
So how does this whole thing work? Well, you can think of it in 4 basic parts. The gateway is the front door. It connects to all your chat apps. The agent is the AI brain that figures out what you want. The skills are its hands and its tools. They let it actually do things. And finally, memory lets it remember your conversations, so it actually gets smarter over time, instead of starting from scratch with every new message.
And this is where the real power is. There's a community hub with over 700 skills, and you can give your agent all these new abilities. You can tell it to organize your Notion database, manage your Trello board, control your smart lights, or even automate boring web tasks like filling out forms. The possibilities are, well, they're pretty much endless.
Okay, but with all this power comes, you guessed it, immense responsibility. Handing an AI the keys to your entire digital life has some very real risks and costs that you absolutely have to understand before you jump in.
And this is the most critical point. Security researchers found over 21,000 OpenClaw installations that were just left wide open on the internet because of bad configurations. This exposed everything. We're talking private chats, API keys, system passwords. It's a huge reminder that if you don't lock the door, anyone can just walk right in.
I mean, the project's own creator, Peter Steinberger, is extremely clear about this. This is not some user-friendly plug-and-play thing you buy at a store. It is a powerful tool for people who are technically skilled and who understand how to properly secure a system. If you don't know how to set up a firewall, this probably isn't for you just yet.
So what about the cost? The software itself is free, which is amazing, but the AI brain isn't. You're paying for API usage. For just daily tasks, a model like Claude Sonnet might run you anywhere from $5 to $40 a month. But, and this is a big one, for ultimate privacy and zero cost, you can run local models using a tool called a llama. It literally turns your own computer into the AI brain.
So, after going through all of it, the power, the chaos, the risks, what does a project like OpenClaw really represent for the future of AI?
Here's what you really need to remember. OpenClaw is powerful. It turns AI from just a talker into a doer. It's personal. Because it's self-hosted, you are in complete control of your data. It's also perilous. It absolutely demands technical skill. But most importantly, it gives us a glimpse of a future where we have personal, autonomous AI that we own, not just rent. And that plugs into this much bigger trend of data ownership and decentralization, moving power away from big tech and putting it back in our hands.
And that leaves us with one last, really big question. This technology can read our emails, it can manage our files, and it can act on our behalf with a kind of autonomy we've never seen before. So, are we really ready to give AI the keys to our digital lives?